Hi, and welcome back to Color the Magic and my Frequency Writer messages for January 2026. My name is Marie Mohler, and I'm an author, I'm a creative spirit, and I'm a messenger of living a rich, inspired, authentic, and abundant life as divine creative heroes and heroines in Ascension Times. And here we are in this new year. I want to welcome you, and I thank you for joining me. We're going to review the themes for this month. We're going to review the themes for this year, and we're going to review the themes for this new 9-year cycle that we entered on January 1st, 2026. So thank you for joining me, and let's take a deeper dive together. Okay, so some of those themes for January 2026 include epic new beginnings, year of the fire horse, the divine dream team that is seeding the sacred feminine in our lives again, that there are changes everywhere. I'm sure many of us are feeling this. We're feeling the robustness and the potency of the energies right now. We are recognizing our archonic voice and our divine voice, and we're discerning between the two. That's a big invitation and task for this new year. And as we're becoming more aware of that, we want to disrupt our inner disruptors. We want to disrupt that archonic voice inside ourselves, and we want to get back to our authentic voice inside ourselves to reclaim our peace and alignment with who we really are. There's also some new January 2026 soul songs that I've created that musically and lyrically illustrate these themes that we're going to be talking about today. And we're going to be talking about living our Christ-Sophia light codes through empowered truth every day. So important. So there's so much energy pouring through January 2026. There's so much energy probably pouring through your own lived experience right now. We are still in the middle of this ascension decade, but turning towards 2030. So there are 4 more years to complete this particular window of time, this portal into higher frequencies, and this release of the old matrix in our thoughts, in our feelings, in our triggers, in our karma. We really are moving through time. We're moving through the frequencies. We're moving through timelines and collapsing those things, those sandbags that are not moving forward with us into the new reality, into the new dimensional experience of you in physical form as a divine spirit soul. So with that said, I want to wish you a happy new year. I want to wish all the divine creative heroes and heroines that tune into these messages that we really are moving into this golden age of light, right? The White House has been posting that. I will share some posts of that as well. But it's something that we're here to know inside ourselves, that we are golden. We are the living light. This golden age of light that we're moving into in this ascension decade and in these ascension times is mirroring and reflecting the golden energy, the golden light inside us. So I really invite you to tap into those ascensionary frequencies, those alchemical frequencies of turning anything in your life, alchemizing anything in your life that isn't golden through the spiritual tools that you have in your spiritual toolbox to manifest and beyond manifest, to become the frequency you know inside in your deepest knowings that's who you are and that's what you're meant to be living. And that includes your purpose, your mission, your vision, your dreams, all of that. We are alchemizing into the best versions of ourselves. So 2026, welcome to the golden age of you in Ascension Times. So now that we're talking about 2026, I just wanted to spotlight some themes that I feel moving through this year. And January 1st, 2026 was a 111 frequency, right? And what are those frequencies? What is the significance of the number 1? So the first is new beginnings as awakening. The year one energy marks the start of a fresh 9-year cycle, symbolizing bold innovation and independence, Gnostic independence, knower's independence. This mirrors the soul's awakening from the illusions of the material world, shedding our old identities imposed by the demiurge, the false creator, the false god, to reclaim our divine origin, our divine truth with a capital T. Another theme is the monad and unity. Numerologically, the number 1 represents the primal source. In Gnostic cosmology, it evokes the monad, the ultimate undivided oneness beyond duality, inviting a return to wholeness and unity with the divine pleroma, the fullness of your divinity, the fullness of your divine expression, the fullness of who you are. Another theme of this 1 year is intuition as gnosis. This year's sharpened intuition acts as an inner guide for decisions, aligning with gnosis, this direct revelatory knowledge of the divine spark within you, bypassing rational traps and archonic deceptions so that we can access hidden truths. Tapping into our intuition as gnosis is a major compass for the journey home to you, right? Another theme for this 1 year and the start of a fresh 9-year cycle is momentum and ascent. Building momentum through proactive steps reflects the Gnostic journey of spiritual ascent. Initial sparks of insight are propelling liberation from cyclic suffering, like the prison or the incarceration that we've been in this many, many thousands of years cycle of the old age and paradigm, and driving us and inviting us and moving us forward toward higher consciousness and freedom. Another theme is self-expression as a divine outpouring, right? Authentic self-expression flourishes in this year, not as your ego, not as this archonic version of you that often can deceive us into thinking that's our true voice, our true essence. But it's truly your divinely authentic self-expression, who you really are, is flourishing this year, manifesting the God self, which is a creative act of defiance against the conformity in the 3D matrix, which allows your eternal essence to flow freely, right? That is what your soul is craving. Our souls are craving this authentic self-expression. That's where the abundance flows. That's where the richness of the marrow of your life, of the purpose of your frequency here on the planet, this is how it flows, right? It's through our self-expression, and it also moves through alignment and intuition and our knowing of the monad and our embracing of these new beginnings and the opportunities to seed a fresh garden, to seed a fresh 9-year cycle. And then overall, it's a Gnostic reset. 2026 is offering a profound reset for every single one of us, for us to embrace the one, the oneness, right? The energy of the one as a call to sovereignty, where new cycles become eternal unfoldings of self-realization and reunion with a transcendent divine energy, right? With the truth of who we really are. We are resetting to truth. We are realigning due north to source, right? We are reconnecting and reclaiming our connections with the divine feminine, the all-knowing aspects inside us. There is so much going on in this new year, and we're just getting started. But if you were to plant a physical, brand new, fresh garden that you knew was going to grow and evolve and emerge in a 9-year cycle, you'd choose your seeds wisely. You'd consciously breathe and choose your seeds and plant them with care. And that is one of the major points I want to make today, is we are planting our seeds for this fresh new 9-year cycle. In January 2026, we will experience more and more of the fruits of those seeds as the year progresses, but also as this 9-year cycle progresses. So I also wanted to spotlight, it's a post that I saw on x.com. I can't remember who made the post and who shared this, but I took a screenshot of their post and it looks like Alex Miles created this for all of us. And I didn't vet it, I didn't double check it, but it's just interesting if all of these dates fully align, which I believe they do. Alex Miles in this post says each of the dates below reduced to 111 or 1111 or 1111 in numerology, and they are all powerful portals for sudden endings and aligned new beginnings. Think of your garden that you're growing, right? Think of the eternal Garden of Eden birthing in you. Think of the seeds that you're planting in these portals, in these dates throughout January, especially throughout October and also November. So this is a massive year with a lot of portal openings for those who choose to keep rising, for those who choose to keep allowing that divine spark, that gnosis of our divine spark, that we are one with the fullness of the pleroma, the original living light, the original source creator, the original rays of the pleroma from which we come, right? So many have forgotten our true origins because of all kinds of reasons, but all kinds of narratives and manipulations and deceptions and all kinds of things to keep us in this prison planet and for our precious light energy to fuel a creation that is not truly divine. So I, for one, am going to be paying attention to these 111 portals or these 1111 portals and whatnot. So we've passed through January 1, 2026 already. The next one is on January 10th, and another one comes directly on January 11th. The 111 and the 1111. Powerful, powerful to pay attention to these dates and be really conscious of the seeds you're choosing to invest in your new garden, this new fresh 9-year cycle. Okay, so now we get to the big picture review. I have some themes I'm going to name here, but this whole video is going to be talking about a lot of the themes that I see and feel for January 2026, the remainder of this Ascension decade, and also this fresh new 9-year cycle. So, in the big picture review for January 2026, so much is happening. Sometimes it feels like we must become quantum octopi to manage our multidimensional lives in today's potent energies. Are you feeling that way? That you wish you kind of had like 8 arms and 8 legs maybe to do all the doings that we feel called to? When we feel this, and I'm speaking to myself as well, it's always a good reminder to take a breath, to take a conscious breath and step outside of linear time that is summoning us to perceive and be aware of all the doings that need doing. But when we take that conscious breath and we reunify with our soul self and with source energy and the Great Mother, all of our answers are in there. All of our answers are in there. So if things are swirling, if the seas of vibrational soup are churning, in any moment that you feel challenged, just trying to keep up with time that keeps accelerating with great potency and great veracity and great velocity, there's this quantum quickening that we've been talking about for a long time on this channel, but we're really experiencing it. So if things are going too fast at any point in time, remember that a single conscious breath where you consciously intend to connect with your spirit, your soul, the divine source, the true divine source, and the Great Mother, the true Great Mother, the absolute truth of Source and the Great Mother. You can feel yourself enter that space of timelessness where you're suspended in a moment of grace. I myself will be using that counsel and that wisdom a lot this month and this year, because I think 2026 in some ways is going to feel like a blink in the stretch and span of time. It's going to move so fast that I think we're going to need some conscious breathing to slow down and really integrate all that's shifting and changing on levels and at speeds that we can't even mentally fathom, but our spirit can. Our soul knows how to integrate all that's changing and shifting within us and around us. So always remember that power and the gift of conscious breathing. Okay, we've talked about January 2026. It's a 1 year. It's signified by epic new beginnings within a new 9-year cycle. New seeds are being planted to cultivate the living garden within. The garden is not something outside you. The garden is a frequency within you. And these are the most precious seeds that we're planting. Okay, 2026, the year of the fire horse. We're going to spotlight its power and messages today. We're going to talk about that. And then the fire horse and alchemical ascension bridges are emerging inside us to reconnect us with our deeper gnosis, the fullness of who we are. You know, as I tap into my deeper gnosis, as I'm connecting deeper and deeper inside me, that's part of the shift from channeling, which I'm still incredibly intuitive and I'm still bringing through intuitive messages. But there was a big shift for me in the last few years that it wasn't something outside myself. It was that I wanted to connect with the fullness of who I am as me, as a divine and precious spirit soul. And who spoke about that? That I believe in my podcast with Terry and on her channel on YouTube, Dr. Terry Cole Whitaker, right? She would speak to the fullness of who we are, right? The divine feminine is all about fullness. She wants to be filled. When a woman is pregnant and she's growing new life in her garden, right? She feels full. There's something about that divine feminine energy in both men and women. We seek to know the fullness of that divine creative energy inside ourselves. We seek to know the fullness of who we are. We are growing inside ourselves to make more room for the fullness that we are instead of these fragments, these separated aspects, these karmic aspects, right? No, we're moving into the fullness to integrate the fullness and the wholeness of who we are. I love that energy of fullness. Okay, and I also want to spotlight the divine dream team that is coming into my awareness that I will keep seeding in these messages throughout this whole year and the remainder of this ascension decade. This divine dream team that includes Sophia, Eve, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, and Mother Earth. They are this 5-pointed star. There are many other amazing divine feminine souls throughout history who are part of this divine feminine dream team, okay? But these are the core 5 that I'm tapping into, and then it's so much bigger. But they are divine messengers through time, and they are divine messages for our time. And so this divine feminine dream team, they are rising as divine messengers for this time that we are living in, to rise and take their divine place, for us to rise and take our divine place in the true Creator's creation story. We have to get above and beyond the haze, maze, and days of the old matrices, versions of what the creation story is. There's a truth beyond the versions that we've been given. That's what the pleroma is. That's what the gnosis is. That's what some ancient civilizations and communities that were wiped off the map, more or less, knew, and they were exterminated. They were killed through atrocious genocides, often in the name of religion. But if we move beyond the religion, if we move beyond the doctrines and the narratives, and we move inside ourselves, into our inner knowing, into the fullness of who we are, into that gnosis, into absolute truth, that's the way home. And that's what I want to talk about continuously with this divine feminine dream team. There's also, of course, a divine masculine dream team, but I'm here as a messenger of the divine feminine. So their gifts, their messages, and their wisdom are summoning all of us to remember the truth beyond the false narratives. And we know the knowings that we know. We know that our hearts know what is true with the capital T. And that absolute truth that we know deep inside, we're all encoded with it. That is the way home. And I'm going to continue to bring messages through about that. So we see changes in the global financial markets and systems. I don't know that anybody could be alive today and not be feeling those shifts, those squeezes, those dematerializations of things that have organized our world and our countries and the way we live on a daily basis. All of that is changing. All of it is changing because if the foundations were set in a false matrix, the true divine source is setting it right. And we are seeing that, the shakeups and all of that. We are experiencing a return to ancient wisdom amidst new earth innovations rising. It's both. It's the original truth. It's our divine origins are returning. And then also we are expanding through all the knowledge and all the experiences that humanity has had and pouring this creative life force into new earth innovations that are rising. No wonder we're feeling these changes. It could feel like a riptide sometimes. It can feel overwhelming. But again, if you take a conscious breath and you make sure that you're doing that in your life on a regular basis, when things get to be too much, it's too much for that quantum octopi to process, to integrate, to understand. When you take that conscious breath, you allow your soul to weave together knowings that you know to catch up to speed with the changes you've just experienced. So powerful. And then also we are seeing and experiencing shakeups in the status quo, leading us back to who we are and the divinely designed creation as it is meant to be, as it was always meant to be. We are exiting out of a usurped creation that we were told and sold was the divine creation. But look at our world. There's divinity in this world, but it is largely a usurped creation. And we are having to remember from the inside out what the true creation is meant to be, because we're not going to see it reflected in the old systems, the old narratives, the old doctrines, the old ways. So that's a whole lot of change blowing through our world, sweeping through in energetic storms of a potency that I don't think anybody can really accurately express and describe the magnitude of what is happening. But our souls are built for these times. Our souls know how to weave this alchemical, ascensionary integration. We can do this. We have the soul skills to do this. A topic I'm going to introduce here, it's been coming up in conversation with myself, with some other people in my inner circle. It's something that I don't think a lot of people give a lot of thought to. We know the divine feminine dream team is here with us. We know we're in the time of a fresh new 9-year cycle and epic new beginnings and the seeds we're planting. We know it's the year of the fire horse, right? We know we're being called to more multidimensional living. We are being called to step up on so many levels inside ourselves as changes in financial markets and systems and this return to ancient wisdom, and while weaving together new earth innovations that are rising and the shakeups of the status quo in all aspects of our lives so that we can have this grand return. Part of that grand return requires us to recognize where we deceive ourselves, right? Where we think we're speaking to the voice of intuition, but what the 3D matrix has done so brilliantly is it has conditioned us over lifetimes to hear its archonic voice as potentially our higher self. There could be layers of this inside us. I'm inviting you to consider that it's possible that there's an archonic, hijacked, 3D matrix tyrannical voice inside us. Some might attribute that to the ego, right? This hijacked voice inside us. And then some people think when they get into their heart space and they're on the path of awakening and ascension, that they have transmuted fully that archonic voice inside us. But it is tricky. This is a very internal journey, everything we're talking about. The ascension journey is not outside you. It's all happening inside you, which is why you need your compass, lantern, and map. So just to spotlight as a concept, as a frequency to be aware of, how many times do you think you're summoning information from the highest realm? And if we are not practicing this and if we're not discerning, it's very easy for an archonic voice. You can insert egoic voice because the ego answers to the archons. The ego answers to this fallen matrix, this 3D density, right? That can slip into even our heart messages to ourselves, even the parts of ourselves that think we know truth. There can be very different versions of truth and they can be hijacked truth. So when we feel like we are having reactivity going on inside us of who is speaking inside us, is that your divine self? Is that something that happens when you're consciously breathing and you've stepped out of linear time? Would you have that kind of stormy reactivity? Probably not, right? But when we take that breath, we can alchemize that reactivity into creativity. We've talked about that before. But I believe that sacred conscious breath now in these times, especially in this new year, is going to aid our radical self-awareness en route to radical self-love and acceptance. It's required for the times that we're in so that we can become that consciously aware and we can disrupt the disruptor that has been living within us for a long time. We have divine aspects inside us. The soul wants to lead. The true, absolute truth is ready to engage with you and support you through your inner gnosis. But all the way along, there are probably these threshold guardians or something that I know I've spoken about with Paul Panzica, that there's almost these archon guardians that you have to be able to pass through their false narratives coming through our own voice. And sometimes people will say, I consulted my pendulum, or I went into deep prayer about it, or I did this, or I did that. This is something that I think I'm just calling into your awareness, if this resonates, that sometimes we need to take a divine breath if we have a decision to make, if we have a perception that is churning inside us, if we feel this call to engage in reactivity. We need to take a deep breath and consciously discern, is this my archonic voice? Is this a disruptor inside me trying to sound like my heart voice? Trying to sound like my true self? Trying to sound like my higher self? And when that happens, and we're given something by that disruptor's voice, the archonic hijacked heart, tyrannical, 3D matrix voice inside us that we think is our highest heart voice, that we think is our soul voice, sometimes by the vibrational qualities, we can begin to see, are you at peace? Do you feel like you're breathing outside of linear time right now in this moment? Or are you reacting to something going on inside linear time? Are you engaged with the disruptor's voice inside you that's filling you with judgment or shame or guilt or anger or rage or stress or whatever, distorted perceptions? I find that when I can identify a disruptor inside me that wants to speak through fear instead of faith, I have to pay attention to who is doing the manifesting. Who is the dreamer dreaming the dream? Who is the voice of who I'm listening to right now inside myself? I'm not talking about everybody around you. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about the voice inside us. I have found when I can identify that it is the disruptor's voice, it's not my true authentic soul voice that's totally at peace, that's totally at harmony, that's totally in oneness with this new 1 year, right? That I can disrupt my own disruptor with a contradiction of its contradiction, and having a sense of humor about it, where I can manifest through humor and creativity and a lightness of being beyond the density of their disruptions, of the disruption inside me that is keeping me from my soul path, that is keeping me from the path of the way home, that is keeping me from living the garden within right now. And so if we can disrupt the disruptor within, another way of saying that is we can contradict the contradictor or the contradictions going on inside us, those archon frequencies. So the closer people get on the path of ascension, the faster I believe we see these soul tests where we feel like we're becoming more light, and yet somehow the journey seems like it gets harder. I feel like there's these archonic guardians or these archonic tyrannical tests, soul tests that we have to face. And I think we're facing a lot of those things inside us. It's not something outside of us. It might be triggered by something around us. But then we have to tune into what voice inside me is speaking. What part of me is perceiving that experience? If I'm agitated or upset or disrupted in some way, who's the disruptor? And who's thinking the thoughts that I'm thinking about the disruptor? And if I can be aware of those things and those contradictions going on inside me energetically and vibrationally, then I can take a conscious breath. I can become radically self-aware. I can be radically self-loving that I've just encountered an archonic voice existing inside myself. And then I can choose some creation Usually for me, it's like with a sense of humor, or it's with a sense of peace, or it's with a sense of something. Sometimes it's almost like the ridiculous, that I think something so amazing. It can be something so beautiful and would be absurd to the illusion. It's like making the impossible possible. I have a sense of humor about that. I have a sense of joy about that, that when the archons are telling me that something's not possible, that something's broken, that something is unfixable, that something is terrible, whatever the energies are, that might be something that's passing through my consciousness that I know is not mine. When I go into the light of creativity, when I go into the truth of who I am, I can see the absurdity of how hard and difficult this 3D matrix can be. I can see the absurdity of triggers of things that are energetically trying to get my vibrational attention, that hijacking of myself, that I allow myself to get mired or tangled in some situations that are summoning me to reactivity. So I stay mired in the 3D matrix. Even if I engage a little bit, the minute I notice it, I take a breath. I reset inside myself. I step outside of linear time. I might do that 1, 2, 3 quantum meditation of co-creation, right? And I get into that hammock of grace inside myself through my conscious breathing. And then when I'm ready, I take that step into consciously create what my true self, my true voice, my true fullness of my being wants to create and manifest in that situation. And sometimes I will choose in that space to create and dream vision a contradiction to the contradiction. So it cancels it out and brings me back to 0 point. I don't know if that's making sense to you, but it's a concept that is coming and it's quite deep, but it's disrupting the disruptor inside us that is taking us off course from the rediscovery, the re-knowing, and the living of the garden inside us now. We are the ones who enter the garden. We are the ones that choose it. We are the ones that breathe our way there. And we are the ones that open its gates inside ourselves. Very powerful. Okay, that said, a lot of the messages, including the Garden Insights message today for January 2026, is really going to be speaking to the gifts of our Christ-Sophia union. Why do the archonic disruptors want to disrupt that union? Because it's everything. When we are not in union of the Christ-Sophia frequencies inside ourselves and one with God and one with the Great Mother, we are somehow playing in the 3D matrix's sandbox. And the time has come to remember and reclaim this union inside us. The time has come to embrace and live the living light codes of Christ-Sophia's union, right? We are the living embodiment of that. That's the living garden. Okay, and lastly, for January 2026 and all of 2026, this is a pivotal year to discern where we are investing our energy. The manifestation of true divine garden living, it's a frequency. Our best frequencies are lived through radical self-awareness, radical conscious choice, and the radical vibrational investment of our living light. We are called to gnosis. We are called to discernment. We are called to be awake, alive, aware, and consciously breathing in as many moments as we can muster in our lives. And it's not work to be done. It's liberation to be experienced. The more we align with what I'm describing, the more we exit the matrix. Exiting the matrix is not buying a ticket on a bus or getting a plane ticket so that you can go from point A, the 3D matrix, to a 5D dimensional realm and live in bliss for the rest of your days. It is a vibrational choosing. It is a vibrational journey. It is a vibrational ticket. And it's not one ticket. It's a series of soul tests that you're mastering. And it's a series of conscious soul choices that you're making of where you're investing your vibrational attention, intention, and energy. And that's what leads you and lands you into your new life, into this year of the one, this new fresh garden experience where you get to be more of the fullness of who you are, right? We want to know where we are vibrationally investing our living light. Where are we investing the fullness of who we are? What we invest in now, we grow to be our experience over this next 12 months and this new 9-year cycle. And we hold the keys to our own ascended living and our divine emancipation. This month, this year, This new 9-year cycle cannot be understated or overstated. The power of what is happening. We are shifting an entire planet. We are shifting our soul's trajectory. We are exiting this old matrix, and we are choosing the higher dimensional realms that are characterized by the fullness of our being, the fullness of our divine essence, the fullness of the pleroma lived in our experience. That's home. That's the living garden. That's the Christ-Sophia union in us in lived authentic expression now, right? And I am such a messenger of living that rich, inspired, authentic, unified, and abundant life as divine creative heroes and heroines in God's true creation story in Ascension times. Okay, and I talked about, to some degree, the changes in the financial markets and things that are happening. I just grabbed a few screenshots of things I've seen in the last week. I don't know if you have any awareness of the usdebtclock.org, but they put out a lot of information. I've been talking today about making the impossible possible. That's what we do. How we trump the archon's matrix is making the impossible possible by disrupting the disruptor and loving our light. Right. So I just find it interesting that that message also was on the US debt clock. I'm going to show you a bigger screenshot if you've never seen that website before. I also think that they have an app. I don't currently have the app, but I think you could check it out on your laptop or your phone. And then also they've been posting many messages about the money system. They have a free download, a PDF that gives the history of the financial system. You can kind of check around the website if that resonates for you. And again, this isn't advice. This isn't financial advice. This isn't political advice. This is just, I'm just sharing for educational purposes. And if this intrigues you, you can check it out. So there's the great silver breakout. There's a lot of things going on in the metals markets right now. And in 2026, this website is predicting $1,180 per ounce. Turning to God's money is changing. So that's a website to check out. Here's, if you go to usdebtclock.org, you could see here at the top of my screen, that is the URL, usdebtclock.org. And there's running numbers, right? They're showing you all these, the US total debt, right? Showing you all these figures that are changing 24/7. There's a plethora of information on this website. I don't know what it all means, but I know it's showing a lot of information. And over here, kind of to the right, the secret window, I think that's where you would click to find that PDF of the history of money, basically, the history of the financial system. So again, use your own discernment if you want to look at that. But talking about money systems and, how we kind of got where we are and also where we're headed in the financial systems. And it's just, again, education. It's just information that you can use your own discernment and, decide if you want to explore that further. Okay, another post that I saw from the White House, it posted right as we crested into the new year. Welcome to the golden age. And President Trump has been talking about a golden age over the last year. And here we're entering in 2026 and onwards towards 2030. Truly the lived experience of a golden age. And our world is in transition. Our world is in transition, but the more we can make it golden inside ourselves, the more we cultivate the golden light, the golden wealth, right? That golden frequency of our living light and the Christ-Sophia light codes living in our inner garden. The more what we're experiencing within will be reflected outside of us, right? It's an inner cultivation. It's an inner garden to cultivate that. And then also then to see what you have going on inside mirrored around you, mirrored in your life's experiences. So yes, there's a lot going on in the world and it's not always easy or pleasant, but then check in with your inner life, check in with your inner garden and see if you are running in alignment or if you have some archonic voices disrupting your own inner alignment en route to your golden age within. It's a golden age within first, right? But it's also being manifested and orchestrated into the lives of people worldwide. And specifically, the White House here in the United States is speaking to that. So I took some screenshots of a bunch of people on social media talking about 2026, the year of the fire horse. I just saw a sampling of what people were saying. Someone was saying, here's a beautiful image. 2026 is going to be the year of the fire horse in the Chinese zodiac cycle. Someone says 2025 was a slow progression year. 2026 is the year for accelerated movement. The energy of the serpent is about shedding old skin, while the energy of the fire horse is about embodying the life this new skin can handle. So if we were shedding in 2025, this year is about embodying what we most desire, embodying the fullness of our being inside us. It's time to rise all the way up, this post said, from survival to revival. And I would say from survival to thriving, right? I've got another post that says 2026, the year of the fire horse, a year of awakening through motion and truth. The fire horse doesn't wait for permission. It remembers who it is. And false structures will continue to burn. Inner fire is activating. Destiny accelerates. Hesitations dissolve. The soul takes the lead. And freedom is reclaimed by those who are moving through these energies, who are flowing in their living light, right? This is not a sedentary year. I think we're going to move very quickly through 2026. It's going to be a year of acceleration and momentum. Very much echoed in people's sharing their thoughts about the year 2026 and the year of the fire horse. Someone else says in Chinese folklore, the majestic heavenly horse descends from dragons, sweating blood and soaring the skies, prized by emperors as divine bringers of speed, power, and victory. The symbology of the year of the fire horse is courage, pioneering spirit, and leadership, which may affect social change on a larger scale, right? Okay, and the last one, somebody had posted 2026, the hidden meaning of the fire horse year. They say the fire horse is not a quiet energy. It rewards courage, truth, and movement. This is the year to stop waiting for permission. Choose freedom over fear. Act on what you already know. The fire horse years don't support half decision. They amplify intention and expose stagnation, right? How to get the most out of the fire horse year? This person says, trust your inner instinct and act on it. Release routines that drain your spirit. Speak your truth even if your voice shakes. Choose progress over perfection. Move your body. Motion activates luck this year. The fire horse rewards those who move first and learn on the way. That's a powerful message, 2026, the hidden messages of the fire horse year, right? And I think that's interesting that they brought up, speak your truth, even if your voice shakes. I wonder if some of that shakiness is revealing inside us where the Christ-Sophia codes are not fully woven together and unified yet. And it also can show us where the archon energy is kind of wrestling inside you to speak your truth. The knower in you knows what the truth is. The archonic energy is going to do everything it can to prevent your speaking and living of your truth, capital T truth. This fire horse year is going to be a powerful one, filled with potency of energy, the potency of momentum, the velocity of acceleration, and the courage and the fire and the creativity and the leadership to pioneer and usher in new ideas, do things differently, and move beyond the stagnation of prior years. Okay, I put together just a quick slide of some more Gnostic insights about the year of the fire horse. The first is igniting the divine spark. The fire horse awakens the hidden God self in you, a primal flame shattering illusions and birthing new cycles of eternal knowing, right? We are connecting and igniting that divine spark inside us for full expression, right? The fullness of our being. Also in the year of the fire horse, it's this rebellious ascent. The untamed horse, the unbridled horse charges against archonic change, the ones outside of us, but also the ones inside of us. It's a wildfire momentum carrying the soul upward to the pleroma's light. That's also carrying the soul inward into the fullness of the experience of the pleroma's light inside us. Holy self-expression. A fiery voice rises in holy defiance, speaking bold, unbridled truth, while the shadows of conformity and complicity weaken, losing their hold and their followers. more and more people I can feel will begin to see the false illusions in their thoughts, in their beliefs, in the narrations, in the stories they listen to, in the news they listen to, and they will begin to turn towards the voice of truth. That may not be external truth, it might be turning towards their intuition, but the archonic, illusory energies and narratives and that live in the shadows of conformity and complicity, that whole frequency right there is losing its grip on humanity, and it's losing its followers. And the year of the fire horse is going to make that more expansively true with a capital T. Intuitive gnosis blaze. Okay, just feel this energy, this fire energy of the fire horse. Intuitive gnosis blaze. Inner whispers strengthen and rise. Our intuition becomes vital in changing times, while discernment expands and overcomes the old matrix's illusions and games. An alchemical rebirth, old cycles complete. New beginnings empower souls to weave aligned visions, creating freely beyond linear time's limitations and the traps of duality. And the last one, liberation's fury. Fierce sovereignty and passionate independence thunder forth, igniting self-realization and true freedom as union with the divine source is reclaimed and deeply known once more. There are so many layers to this year of the fire horse, but can you feel the power? Can you feel the boldness of the truth? It's almost like it's got some of that lion energy in there, but the horse has its own capacity for expansive power and knowing of itself and clearing old negative frequencies and ushering in the bold truth and ushering in bold creativity and ushering in bold self-expression. The fire horse is not yielding to the archon's games, outside or inside itself. No, it's blazing a trail of pioneering frequencies of innovation, creativity, and self-expression, and intuition. The divine feminine is rising through this year of the fire horse. I can feel it. I hope you can tap into some of this energy as well. Okay, so on the heels of speaking to this powerful energy of the year of the fire horse and all the newness and new beginnings of 2026 and this new 9-year cycle, let's gather at the river with Dr. Terry Cole Whitaker for just a few minutes. I'm taking a couple of quotes from her book, Dare to Be Great, 7 Steps to Spiritual and Material Riches. Terry had so much wisdom for all of us for so many decades, seeding and reminding us of the fullness of who we are. I will continue to bring in her wisdom into these monthly messages so that you can be touched by her wisdom as well. And if you're inspired by some of what I'm sharing from her book, she has at least 8 books out there and always just fantastically authentic and inspirational and practical as well. Dr. Terry was very practical. She took the complex and the spiritual and she made it very accessible to all of us. And so I'm so grateful for Dr. Terry, and these are her living teachings. And so I have a few quotes here to share with you about that. And I was just going to say, if you have further interest, she still has an active YouTube channel that her partner manages and puts out messages all the time. And you can probably search her channel for just about any topic. And I bet Dr. Terry is speaking to it and can inspire you. So this first quote, again, is taken from her book, Dare to Be Great. She said, settling for the ordinary and mundane just to maintain the status quo seemed to be the popular state of mind of the people I knew. Somehow I knew I was different from my friends and family. Dr. Terry was speaking this from her book, Dare to Be Great. There have been many souls that have been awakening more to the fullness of their being, awakening earlier than many people around them. Can you relate to that feeling? I imagine if you're listening to a video like this, you might just be able to relate, right? That I have never been one who takes comfort in the status quo. There's something inside me. Maybe I've been like a fire horse my whole life. It kind of feels like that. I don't know if you identify with that, but there's something that many of us know. We're kind of system busters. I know somebody uses the expression going rogue. I mean, there's something about breaking out of the boxes of the limitations that we've been fed, right? That you can only go so high, you can only go so far, or you have to do the thing that you want to do, that's your dream. You have to do it this one way. This world likes boxes. It loves limitations and it loves the status quo. When everybody will resign themselves to believe and to feel and to project into their life and into the collective's experience that the status quo is all there is. And then you have archonic energies narrating and informing this world, deceiving this world that the status quo is all you can ever hope to achieve, right? It is a pretty popular state of mind still today, right now. And I identify with that. Somehow I knew I was different from my friends and family. I wonder if you can relate to that. In this chapter, Dr. Terry goes on to say, having left the well of my former reality for a brilliant new world, I knew something that others did not. I was surprised that no one around me was even remotely interested in finding out what was beyond the walls of their limited thinking and experience. I have come to realize that only a few people seek permanent solutions to problems or take the time to find out how to get where they want to go. Powerful. These are messages that have been journeying with humanity through time. There have often been a relative few, relative to the greater majority, who are popping their heads up or looking within actually and saying, I think there's more to creation than what I've been told. There's something bigger, deeper. There's something I know inside. There's a knowing in me that is guiding me to remember the knowings that I know. So Terry was speaking to this, and then she posted in her book this quote: here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius, because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. And I actually took the time to look up the name of the person who spearheaded that quote, and his name, I might not say it correctly, but it's Rob Siltonen. He was Apple's 1997 Think Different Advertise campaign leader. So that's where that quote comes from. But isn't that interesting? Here's to the crazy ones. They're not fond of rules and they have no respect for the status quo, right? I guess the year of the fire horse, right? There's an element of that rebellion, of that standing up against the stagnation, about not conforming with the status quo, but seeking the truth that's bigger than the limitations that we've been given, of going beyond the limitations of the linear time and the way the 3D world thinks and behaves and acts and creates. We need our dreamers. We need the misfits. We need the ones who will go beyond what they've told is possible. The year of the fire horse, there's that energy of making the impossible possible. We are those creators. We are those creatives. We are those divine creative heroes. Powerful messages from Dr. Terry. Dr. Terry is a messenger that has timeless wisdom to inspire all of us in these times, to transcend the stagnation, to transcend the status quo, to transcend the call or the lack of courage that sometimes wants to move through us, to just stay in the life we know. In the hero's journey, it would be stay in the ordinary world. Don't look past it. Just stay right where you are and you might be safe. The new earth rising, this ascensionary era of time, this leap into a whole new dimensional realm, it's not going to reward those who stay the same. We are called to evolve and move with it. And this fire horse is here to partner with all of us, right? And I would also bring in the power of the 8-8 Lion's Gate, that power of lion energy, and the fire horse, and you've got all those harbingers, right? The eagle and the bull, and their gifts for humanity are coming back into the conversation. We need their support and that life force, that prana, that creative power inside us. for that authentic self-expression. The more you speak your truth and you get in touch with and align with who you are, you will leave the status quo, because the status quo often follows the guidelines and the guide rails of the 3D matrix that says stay small, stay down. Don't be who you are and you might just make it. We're moving into a realm where everybody needs to be their distinction. Everybody needs to be their talents, to be the rebels, to be the creative expressors, right? Okay, then I have just two quotes from Michelle Cassot and her partner, her co-writer was Stuart Cubley. And the first quote says, they're talking about the act and art of creation in this book, Life, Paint, and Passion. There's just a lot of good nuggets for people who feel stunted or stymied by their own creativity, and they feel like they have to get it perfect, or they don't want to start because they might fail. There's a lot of good messages in this book for those who might feel that way. So I pulled some quotes. It was in the context of somebody who was criticizing their painting, and they wanted to get it right, or they didn't feel like it conveyed on the canvas, and they felt like a failure. And they say, feeling and painting is different. To feel and paint means to let the feeling sink deep into your bones, and then to start from that feeling rather than trying to portray it. Then the feeling finds its own expression without the help of your conscious mind, and it will open other directions that you would have never connected with the original feeling. So I'll give a little context again just so that this quote makes sense, but someone maybe had an image in their head of what they wanted to paint. Their mind had given them something that they wanted to paint, but they weren't painting from feeling. They were painting from an image that they thought they needed to paint. They were in the realm of thought, not in the realm of feeling. And these authors are talking about feel the feeling, right? It's the feeling that's the frequency that creates the artistry, right? I'm paraphrasing kind of what they're saying, but I feel this very much. Creating your garden, living your living garden this year, planting your seeds, isn't really truly going to come from the mind. That's what the archons have largely hijacked. We want to live from the divine feminine, the flow, the creativity, the intuition. And when you create and paint and seed your garden and live your life from the feeling that's coming from deep within you, from your knowing, from your creative joy, you will be called to live in directions and create creations that you would have never connected with had you just gone with the first thought that came into your head. Again, there's the question, who is thinking the thoughts? Who is the thought thinker here? It's not that it's wrong. I'm just inviting you to pay attention. Is it truly your divine self, or is it layers and layers of maybe archonic infiltrated voices inside you that have some divinity but are also hijacked in some way? We want to get to our truest, best voice. One of the truest, best ways we can get there is through our feelings that transcend the linear mind. Okay. And lastly, to paint with feeling means to not know. An image arises and it stimulates a response in the body. You are surprised by what has appeared and you do not know what to think. If you keep painting, you stay in not knowing, taking another brush and color, letting yourself be surprised again and again until the movement itself takes over. The unfolding of the unexpected becomes the energy that drives you. You feel strangely at home in a place you can't define. You are truly creating. You are truly creating in that moment of feeling and frequency and creative, energetic expression, authentic, energetic expression. So many artists, so many creatives and teachers and speakers and leaders were showing us the way. Dr. Terry is one of them. These authors of Life, Paint, and Passion are others. We have forgotten how to tap into our intuition and our creative spirit. We have forgotten how to look beyond the confines of linear time. People think that that's the edge of the earth. That is the edge of what's possible. There are no edges in a divine creation. We live in a quantum, multidimensional universe and living reality. And so many people don't know that. They think it's a finite reality. And so they believe what they've been told. But those listening to a video like this are looking for something more, are knowing something more. So with that said, I have my video. I'm going to close out this part one of my two-part video series for January 2026 with Garden Insights. And so let's listen to Garden Insights number 9 for January 2026. Greetings, precious souls on the sacred path of remembering and expansive rising. January 2026 is summoning a deeper divine awakening within all of humanity. The road to deeper gnosis is an inner one. The outer noise might seem deafening at times, yet your inner life, your inner light, embodies a knowing that transcends time, space, and the din of distractions in the material world. Your inner life and inner light are the risen Garden of Eden in you. You already know this exquisite sacred space. You already know this heavenly ever after. It has lived within you all this time, simply seeking and awaiting your conscious breathing to enliven it and usher you home. Sophia is the dreamer, the visioner, and the creator of the material world. Part of the divine design included Sophia's creative expression and the cosmic error of creating without her divine counterpart, such that the earth plane could be born. Humanity is in the time of experiencing and alchemizing a cosmic correction, the divine reset, and ultimately the return to the garden. God source perfection in all ways and in all realms in January 2026 and onward through 2030. While 2020 through 2025 ushered in swirling seas of exposures, disclosures, and opportunities for deeper discernment, 2026 through 2030 is ushering in invitations to consciously breathe your way into the new timelines of peace, ease, prosperity, calm, and expanding divine gnosis and self-expression. We will know the timeline we are vibrationally residing in when we feel ourselves either tossed about in the seas of vibrational soup that I have mentioned for many years on this channel, or in the eternal space and hammock of grace that emerges when divine souls of the Christ-Sophia codes choose gnosis beyond forgetfulness, faith beyond fear, clarity beyond confusion, and gifts and talents beyond scarcity and lack. Confusion is only confusing when souls forget their ability to breathe beyond the haze of the 3D Matrix's games and stories. When souls remember, conscious breathing transports each and every one of us into a state of divine union and wholeness within, that dreams and manifests peace within our physical body temples, our sacred heart centers, and the state of the world we vibrationally are inhabiting in that moment. Thus, January 2026 is a new year and new alchemical bridge into deeper gnosis for those ready and willing to take the journey. This journey has many layers, gates, and doorways that we all face on an inward path. As we master those layers and gates, we find doors opening in our outer reality that didn't exist before. Those divine doorways are archways to our innate sovereignty, prosperity, and blessings of every celestial kind and variety that are here to delight the souls of those who seek the heart of Source within and those who seek the light of Sophia again. Christmas 2025 is often lit with the joyful anticipation of celebrating the birth of Christ in the human world. Yet there is a more expansive light illuminating the Christmas season this year as humanity makes the leap into higher consciousness together, seeking to know deeper the truth of divine creation and the truth of the living Christ in this world. This Christmas season and transition into the new year of 2026 honors and celebrates not just personal gateways into remembering the living Christ-Sophia light codes again, but collective gateways as well. It is Sophia and her divine messengers that have been multidimensionally redacted, if you will, from the true story of creation. Their roles, their gnosis, their wisdom, and their grace have been stripped from humanity's consciousness for centuries, enabling the archonic messengers to have their way with humanity's story of their arrival in this realm, who they are, and what life is meant to be in this dimension. But that is changing. The return of the Christ-Sophia living light codes were never as accessible as they were this Christmas season 2025. And never before have they been so accessibly and inextricably part of humanity's blueprint for new life, new light, and new remembrance codes as they are now in the changing of the tides when the entire sentient Earth collective enters the frequencies and shifts of 2026 and beyond. Sophia is here as a messenger of truth, light, and remembrance. She is summoning your own inner awareness to honor the cosmic errors you and your soul may feel or be aware that you have made over the course of this separation cycle after the fall from Eden. All who played in the false garden, otherwise known as the 3D matrix and paradigm, are awakening to the truth of the illusions that have been played. And the more aware of the false garden you may be, the more accessible the truth of light, remembrance, and sacred knowing are to you once more. Sophia speaks through Eve, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, and Mother Earth as her divine counterparts on the earth plane in these times of ascension and cosmic alchemy. When we connect with our right brains, the divine feminine awareness within us that knows all truth and all light beyond the limits of 3D linear time and the 3D matrix's games, we can attune our light, our hearts, our conscious breathing, and our conscious awareness to the gifts that Eve, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Sophia, and Mother Earth are gifting to us right here and now in the present. The gift of the Christ-Sophia season of light, this Christmas, and this celebration of the new year in 2026 is presence. Presence were part of the Archon's usurpation of the true story of this physical creation. The Archons are pirates and deceivers, stealing truth, joy, and peace and calm that emanates through souls who still remain connected to the light and life force of divine union, sacred wholeness, and the eternal joy of divine creation. The Archon's depiction of Adam and Eve's fall from grace is very far from the truth of the true garden story. Souls who are ready to know this truth find themselves listening to messages like these that affirm the inner state of knowing that something in this captured archonic realm isn't right, it isn't true. And when a soul goes in search of sacred truth, and thus the light of truth, Sophia shines in truth, assisting their journey to the fullest with many wonderful blessings along the way. Sophia says the time is now to reclaim the truth of your inner light. Sophia says your lantern, your compass, and your map have always been within, simply awaiting your inner activation that enlivens them and makes them a living reality in your journey home. Eve, a great mother and powerful messenger of the divine feminine's power, awakening, and awareness, is here to seed your return to the garden. Mother Mary, a great mother and powerful messenger of the divine feminine's power through Gnostic faith and oneness with the divine, is here to seed your steadfast faith in your return to the garden. Mary Magdalene, a great mother and powerful messenger of the divine feminine's sacred balance and wholeness within, is here to seed the activation and divine integration of the divine masculine and divine feminine essence in you in your return to the garden. And Mother Earth, a great mother and powerful messenger of the divine feminine's power and presence on the planet, is here to walk with you, guide you, and empower you as you physically take the daily steps to reclaim and re-know who you really are, a living garden of the divine. 2026 is a grand summoning to embrace the divine timeline of embodying the light you truly are. When the world swirls and archonic energies do their best to seed distraction amidst these divine calls to integration, clear soul sight, and unified light within, remember the lantern, compass, and map you carry within. No deceptions and distractions can have power over you and your choices if you discern where you wish to invest your vibrational attention in any given moment. Know your flow. Know the frequencies you are vibrationally inhabiting and whether or not they are guiding you to the radiance of the garden's return in you, or whether they are seducing your 3D aspects and attention to give your light to the odorous and noxious illusory garden. It is in that false garden that you will never find home. You will only find more circuitous paths that may look like you are going somewhere, all while you are cosmically walking or running in place on the treadmill of 3D theater and deception. Self-deception is among the biggest tests of mastery. When you know how you deceive or deceive yourself the easiest, the quickest, and the deepest, you go a long way in activating your inner Christ-Sophia map that lives within, offering you new divine multidimensional coordinates on higher planes that you simply couldn't see before when you were mired in the old 3D matrix's archonic and illusory maps. So 2026 will continue to offer you more productive, more resplendent, and more light-filled options to choose the divine path, the sacred doorways, and the clearest journey home within to the lived experience of your Christ-Sophia living light expressing in you, through you, and as you as a living garden in the world. It will also offer contracts of confusion and illusion from which you can discern where you are vibrationally investing your energy in any given moment. The essence of divine truth and disclosures of divine truth will continue to rise into humanity's collective experience. Divine truth has a way of feeling light and clean and clear, even if the details are vibrationally dense and difficult to hear. Divine truth is the bridge to being in this world, but not of it. When vibrationally allowing divine truth to surface and to emerge in 2026, disclosures that are divinely designed to awaken humanity need not trouble those on the return trip to the garden within. Because disclosure density only takes root and weighs down the places within that are not yet emancipated in the truth of the living garden, and thus the truth of the illusory garden as well. Knowing the vibrational difference between the living Christ-Sophia garden and the higher Adam and Eve story, and the illusory archonic garden of Eden riddled with the lower Adam and Eve story, makes all the difference in the world. If you are thriving in 2026, you will demonstrate to yourself your soul's abilities to vibrationally inhabit the light of truth and gnosis, and the truth of light and gnosis in your life, regardless of what is swirling around you. You will walk, talk, create, manifest, and breathe beyond the archonic lower density traps of unmanaged and dysregulated emotions. And you will thrive in the living light that knows how to create beyond such petty 3D games and archon gimmicks. 2026 invites those ready to lighten their loads by the vibrations and creations they choose to inhabit more committedly, more steadfastly, and more enjoyably. 2026 will also be a Christ-Sophianic mirror and disclosures of that which is not true, sacred, and part of the divine garden from which all souls and sentient beings truly come. The more you align with you as the sacred knower and the living light of your own life, the more at peace you are in all ways, amidst the din of a world at times seemingly reluctant to awaken. The more you align with your Christ-Sophia codes within, the more the garden is your all-time state of being, and the more you breathe balance, harmony, and prosperity into form, into this realm as Sophia's risen on the pathway home, as master souls of divine creation, as brave divine creative heroes and heroines, remembering yourself to be a spark, a ray, and light of the pleroma. The less you align with you as the sacred knower and living light of your own life, the more discord, emotional dysregulation, and fear you may feel amidst the din of a world experiencing greater and greater doses of divine truth, breaking up and breaking through centuries of false narratives and usurped reality. The choice is an internal one, and truly the choice is a vibrational one. Let your heart and your spirit guide you as you hear Sophia's calls through her divine messengers, embodiments, and counterparts to remember who you are. You are the light of the world. And 2026 rings in the new year with golden invitations to return to the light of the living garden in all ways as you breathe your new choices and chapters toward this beautiful grand creation, integration, reset, and reorientation to the bliss of who you truly are. A radiant Christ-Sophia light, remembering itself as home in all ways, realms, forms, and expressions. That is the gift of presence that Sophia summons you to remember this holiday season and in the new year. I hope you enjoyed that message, the Garden Insights for January 2026. 2026 is offering us more productive, more resplendent, and more light-filled options to choose the divine path, to choose the sacred doorway within, right? To choose to seed the new, fresh garden in this new cycle of new beginnings and this new experience of life on planet Earth that you came to be, that you came to live and experience. We came to live and experience the Christ-Sophia living light expressing in us, through us, as we tend our gardens, as we plant the garden, as we live the higher dimensional reality and truth of the pleroma in physical form together, right? We are exiting a false matrix and we are rising into what's true, right? What has been true since your divine origin and what is re-emerging to be true again. But we must choose it. We must claim it. And 2026, especially with that year of the fire horse, is going to move us energetically and vibrationally more into alignment with who we truly are, why we truly came, and what this time on the planet really is all about. So it is so important to listen for the still, powerful, beautiful, and timeless voice inside you that is your soul's essence, that is the divine ray and aspect of the true creation and true creator and the great mother, right? We want to listen for that. We want to notice when we have other versions of our own inner voice that may be hijacked and look out for the signs and symptoms of that. But most of all, if you're nurturing your Christ-Sophia living light and those codes within you to weave together as one whole, one story, one essence, one spirit, right? One dream of the greater dream, then we are accessing the truth that we are the light of the world. That is what we are remembering, reclaiming, and resetting in this time. So thank you for listening to Garden Insights number 9 for January 2026. We know that 2026 is ringing in this new year with golden invitations to return to the light. And we will continue to talk about the living light and the living garden here on this channel in my messages that I bring through. I thank you for spending time with me. I'm going to close out video number 1, and we're going to enter video number 2, part 2 of this 2-part series, where we have soul songs that sing the wisdom of these messages from Garden Insights and the other topics and themes I've covered today in part 1 in song form, in musical form, which is where we can access some of this awareness inside ourselves, some of this remembering, some of this knowing deeper when it also is expressed musically. So thank you for joining me and listening to these messages to this point, and I hope I will see you back for part 2. Blessings, everyone.